Thank you for joining. And without further ado, Jon, if you're ready, I think we can get started.
All right. Welcome, everyone. It's an honor to have the opportunity to go through what our team has been working on the last couple of months. It's a power-packed session today as far as features that we're releasing. Big kudos to our product, QA, and engineering teams for just the effort that they've put in over the last 2 to 3 months, really over the last year, but for these particular features over the last 60 to 90 days. It was a big push to get things done before the new year, but we wanted to start off with a bang here with lots of customer requested features that we know that you needed in your workflow. So every feature that I'm going to go through today is a customer requested feature. Some of these have hundreds of votes. Some of them have maybe 100, but they're at the top of the list for most requested features. So there's 13 core things that I'll very quickly go through today. You see them on the list here. We'll go through them one at a time. If you have comments about features, our product dev and QA teams love to see that feedback coming in. So throw that in the chat. And if there's high fives, if you'd like something that you're seeing, just give them a little bit of credit for some of the work that they've been doing. So let me just run through the list very quickly so I can set the stage for you, and then we'll go into each one. So we have a new left nav side panel for views that we're going to demo and show you that went live this morning. We've added undo, redo actions that are available inside of our view types. For making updates to single fields or deleting records, you can now undo, redo those actions. We've added additional spotlight capabilities using single select and status fields to auto color things. We've broken our existing due date field into a nested field type that allows you to see the date range, or you could see just the due date or the start date or the end date. We've formally released our whiteboard feature capability that's within our SmartDoc. It was turned on this morning for everyone. The same with our multi-user collaboration. So if 2 or more people are in a SmartDoc at the same time, it will color code and show you the changes that multiple people are making at the same time, and then auto save those changes for you. We've added the ability to add icons to tables in the solution menu at the top of the page. We've added some additional capabilities with charts where you can order values, ascending or descending, the ability to drill into lookup field types, some fun things with automations with nested full name and address fields for some of our power users that are there. Over 25 new formula functions that we'll run through a couple of. And then the big ones, our dependency field type and our Gantt field type. This feature alone has been about 4 to 5 months in development for number 12 and 13, just to give you an idea. We're also going to go through what's coming that is either in the final stages of testing or the final stages of development right now. This is the list. I won't go through each one here, but I'll cover the first couple items live as we're going through. So let's just jump in if we can. And Avi, seeing my screen? Okay.
Yep, you're in SmartSuite.
Okay, perfect. So the first thing that you'll notice is there's a new navigation to get to views that's on the left-hand side that's here. There's 2 different capabilities for that. You can click on the arrow at the top to open and pin it open. So all new users today, when they logged in, will see this particular view where the view is pinned unless they want to close it. It has the ability has folders now, a little different to style. For the folders, I can drag and drop things around in folders, between folders. If I wanted to add a new view to an existing folder, I could just click on the plus sign for the folder. I could click the view. You'll notice that the same as before, you have at the top where you can give it a name. I could say it's public or private, but now you have the ability to actually select a folder directly here. So we knew that in this particular case, it defaulted to customers because that's where I clicked. But if I wanted to change it and say, nope, I want it in projects, boom, I can create that new view and throw it in projects. What's coming soon, meaning probably February timeframe, is the ability to set the visibility by view. So what that means is you can determine who has permissions to see this particular view. It could be by person, it could be by team, or it could be by their role that they have. So maybe all contributors see this particular view. So it's meant to allow you to take some of the clutter out of all the views that you have listed today that are here. There's a second mode to this. I'm going to go ahead and close this navigation so it goes to this state. Now I can just hover over that and it opens by default. I can click on an item. I could click on another item. I could hover over, it goes away. So power users have been pretty adamant to find ways to cut down on the number of clicks to get to things. So this allows you just to hover and click is the idea, and go right back away. We do highlight the view that you're on to make it simple when you come back. Our more sophisticated users, non-power users or general users, like the ability to have things pinned open is the feedback that we've got, and they can just very quickly click to get to the information that they want to see there in real time. There's a couple of other capabilities that we added here as well. So if I come into any view now and I star it, we will add a My Favorites at the top here. So I could come into, there's two ways to favorite things. If I'm in a view, I could just click the favorite icon, or I could click the top menu here and say, add this to favorites, and it automatically adds things to the top for you. It still stays in the folder. We're just creating a custom list for you at the top that's here. So it allows you to create your own custom menu and then to order the items in that menu specific to you. And you can also close the other folders if you didn't want to see all that noise and just see your custom list right at the top that's here. We remember this state of what this menu is in, either open or closed, as you continue to navigate. So if you have it open, we will continue to show it open as you navigate to other solutions, other tables. If you have it closed, we will do the same thing. We'll remember that it's closed. And this is person by person. So each user has the ability to completely customize this element for them. The My Views, I think, let's see if I have one set up here. Yep. My Views works the same way, just a little different UI. So you can add as many personal views as you would like that are in here. And we treat it as a folder. So you could collapse it by default. It always shows at the bottom under this line to make it very clear that this is your personal views, but you could also take your personal views now, add those to your My Favorites and put them right at the top. So we give you a couple different options for how you want to display things that are here. To create a new folder, it's pretty simple. You just hover here. If you have access to do that, you click create folder. I could just say, I want to name this new folder. Save it. I can then drag and drop this around in any place that I want. I could open it. I could move other items into that folder, outside of that folder that's there. It also has the power search. We tried to make it where it didn't stand out quite as much, but it's still there. So you can click at the top, and here I could just type in and I could search for the word task. If I could type this morning, and it will search through if you have a large list and bring back any of the views that match that. We went through lots and lots of testing over the last few months with lots of users, but we're continuing to get feedback. So if there are additional features that you would like to see, please let us know. One that is coming soon that's here is you will have the ability to add icons here, similar to the favorites. So see, you can add an icon, but when you hover, we show you it's a folder. So you'll be able to select icons for each of the folders that you set if you feel that's important to you. The second element I'd like to go to is just our undo redo feature. So if I came into this and I'm working here under budget management, and let's just say for some reason I said, oh, we don't need this anymore. I deleted that. And I went, oops, I didn't want that. I could click undo and I could bring that right back. I could do the same thing if I delete by using Command Z that's here, or Control Z, sorry. And it will bring back that same record for you in the same way. So you can see that I moved it to the recycle bin. I can undo that. I could also use the hotkeys that are there. The hotkey sequence is, I meant to show this first. If you can see here, it's just Command Z for undo, Shift Command for Z if you're on Apple. In the help text that we're publishing and the shortcut keys today live, you'll be able to see that for different browser types, different operating systems that are there. This particular feature works in two ways. So if I come in and actually make a change inside of the grid, and then I said, oop, I didn't want to make that. I just did Control Z that it shows the action was undone. So I could do that for any of the field types that are here. I'll do Control Z, change that back to John. It also works with bulk delete and bulk paste and updates that you have inside of the grid. What is coming is the same thing on field settings. So if you make a change to a field settings, you want to change it back. and you'll start to see the undo feature go across everything in the product over time. But the first focus was on records and fields inside of data sets for you. That's it. Another fun one, the next one is ours. We've added some additional capabilities to Spotlight. So now when you click on Spotlight, you'll notice that you have two options. The prior option that we had before is you could come in and define conditions for when you want different colors to be displayed. And you could do that both for the entire row that's here, or you could do it for a particular cell that's in here. So that's still available. But now you have the ability for us to make some choices for you automatically. So we do it by field type. So you can select any status or single select field. We'll use the colors that you've selected inside when you set the values up here. And you'll notice that it just color coded everything based on those colors, based on the phase. If I change this here to priority, it just changes it. Change it to status, it changes it. This goes across all of the view types that we have, including the Gantt chart that we're going to show a little bit later. We also got feedback that it's common that when you use this feature, you're like, ooh, I don't that particular color that was set up. So you can click right here, go right into field settings, and you can actually change the color, update that, and then we apply that back in real time for you. So trying to save you some shortcuts there. I can tell you that for most of the Spotlight features that I have personally set up in my views, I'm moving those over to by field type, because that's what I was trying to do with the conditions as well. And then as a new value gets added with the color, everything just works for me. The next one that we'll talk about is our due date field type. So a due date is basically a date range. So this is what we have currently. You can click on this. It brings up our modal where you can select a start date and an end date that's in here. People have come back and said, that's great, but there's times that I need to break those out and just see the start date or the end date, and it makes it easier to cut and paste data in. So what we've done is made the due date field a nested field. So now you can see it's telling me that I've already selected the due date. Let me turn that off. And you can see this little plus. So now I could pick just the start date and the end date in separate columns. And if I scroll over here, you can see now that I have those. And now I can edit these here. And when I click to edit, it only brings up the modal for that particular date. It just simplifies that for you if you'd like it that way. It also makes it easier for you to cut and paste, or to do things where I want to take this value and copy it down a multiple of cells. So it just gives you a lot more capabilities for start and end date. So we name these fields right now, whatever you name the field with the colon, and then we say start date, end date. We're still getting feedback on this if we need the word date at the end, or if it was simple enough to just say due date dash start. So we would love your feedback on that either now in the comments, or feel free to go into our feature roadmap and share your comments there as well. This particular field will now, it's being worked on to go across every part of the product. Most of it is already done, but you'll see this in data import, where you can import data now into just a start date, a due date. You'll be able to export data, just start date, due date. You'll be able to use automations that include that. You'll see that across our APIs with Make and Zapier, or our connectors that are there. So it's going through everything all at once for you. All right, here's a fun one. I'll click into a record. I'm in just a task, and in this particular case, I've decided that I wanted to add a flowchart to better describe it. I can click on this. This is our implementation of Whiteboard. So it's a part of a SmartDoc field type. You could have as many whiteboards as you want in a SmartDoc. You can just use the / command to bring up the menu. You could go down to the bottom and select Whiteboard, and then it will create that whiteboard here. We created a demo one to show. Once you've created one, you can auto size this to be what the size that you would like to see inside of the SmartDoc itself. When you double click, it opens up full screen. And if the user has rights, they can go in, and Pete created this for me, very simple today, but it allows you to do a combination of freehand like Pete used here, but you could also create a very traditional flowchart with all the traditional symbols are available that's here. You can see as I click on items, I get more options for me to be able to add, import, insert items back in. When you're all done, you can just click save, and it just marks it, brings it right back into the SmartDoc for you. So For us as a product company, this is super handy in that it allows us now to build all of our requirements with our diagrams and things directly inside of SmartSuite and not use a third-party product. There's no additional cost on your license for this capability, and it's available to anybody that has a SmartDoc field type. Would love your feedback on this. This has been out there for about a month, maybe 6 weeks that we've been playing with it live. So we've tried to address lots of the comments that have been coming in to make this even more usable, but please let us know on this. We've talked about this before as well. I don't have a way to show it here right now, but if you're in a record and 2 more people are editing this information at the same time, we will now color code the data. I'll show you an example of that here. So you can see the person and the updates that they're making live inside. So if you've got 5 people, you're going to see 5 people inside of that. The changes are actually saved in real time. So you don't have to click save in the SmartDoc when multiple people are editing. We do that for you. That just ensures that people don't override each other in any way. It works just like a Google Doc or just like Notion or Coda, more collaborative types of tools that are there. Please play around with that. That again has been out in the wild for a couple of months with a number of people testing it out through alpha beta for us, but it's now available as of this morning for all customers to use. The next one is a simple one, but it's fun. So people have requested the ability to add icons across the tables that are displayed across the top. And it's completely up to you when you first come in. Today, we don't automatically put any icons in there that's there if you're creating something new, but you can click on table icon. You could go here. You could do a search. And in this case, I just said, I want to see some task icons. I could select a different icon here, save it, and it displays here. What's coming in the future is that you'll be able to take this menu structure and actually display it inside of the nav menu. And we will use these icons, if you select icons, as the top level items for your folders. So if you want a very simplified solution for users, and you only have 6, 10 different views in each one, you'll be able to show that on the side, collapse that, really take up the full screen. That's here. Chart ordering is another fun one. I think I have a chart here. So chart ordering allows you to go in now and you can see, I want to turn it off here. You can see that when I displayed the data, it's all over the place and it's hard to understand. I can, click over each one and understand what's going on, but it'd be a lot nicer if I could sort those values ascending or descending. So we've just given you that capability. This is one of my favorites for all the reports that I do. I just want to see things from highest to lowest coming in. You can do the same thing. You can click to go into the details, see everything that's there. All right, Lookup Drill In is another fun one. So a lookup field allows you, if you're new to SmartSuite, to pull data from another solution and move some things out of the way. I have a view set up and I couldn't find it. Here we go. So in this case, I'm inside of a project and I'm looking at a client project and I want to see the number of, or the support tickets that are actually linked back to this client, maybe that are open or just in general. But I also did a lookup field here to tell me the status inside of this record that's in another solution. So in the past, we've allowed you to do this and we will show these values, but now you can actually hover over the value, click, and we take you right into that lookup value. No matter what the type of lookup is that you're doing, we take you to that record. So I could come back in here, I could say complete, change that, and off I go. And then you see it just updated the status here in real time. So it just makes it easier for you to get to the data that's there. There are lots and lots of use cases for this that people use across SmartSuite that's here with dates, all kinds of fun stuff. If you have questions on that, I failed to mention this at the beginning, but our team each morning at 9 o'clock does an office hours where you can speak live with a person on our team and do working sessions. Sometimes there's 4 or 5 people, sometimes there's 10 or 15. You can ask your questions, you can learn from other people, but it's a time that if you have questions on specific features like this and you don't want to watch our online videos or some of the training, you can speak with somebody live. This is one that is quite common for people to talk to us about, is how to set up lookup fields. The next one is automations. I'll just talk about that for a second without drilling into the details here, but you now have the ability in automations to have the full name and the address fields broken out. These are nested fields, just like the due date. So you could come in and say, set up something that says if the first name is this or the last name is this, as opposed to looking at the full name the way that we display it now. Same thing with the address field. So I could say if the state is New Jersey, then take this particular action or do this. So those are now just the full name and address fields have been broken out for us. New formula functions. There's quite a few of these that are coming in. These are some of the most requested that we've had. We've got another list of about 20 that we're working on currently that will come out towards the end of January that's there. And in fact, we'll be releasing some of those as they're done. We'll announce all of them towards the end of January that's here. But if you have functions that you need that we don't support, which I hope there's not many of those, please let us know, because we're trying to go through that right now and make sure that we've accounted for everything that you need in your specific workflow. All right, let's get into some fun stuff here. We now have the ability to support the display of Gantt charts. We took an approach after talking with well over 100 customers, and I can't even tell you how many meetings. I've had more meetings about dependencies and Gantt charts than any other feature that we've done. Lots and lots of great feedback from every kind of company, from construction companies to medical companies, manufacturing companies, hardcore project managers, just everybody giving their feedback on what they need to do things. What we came up with is an approach that we introduced a new field type called dependency field type. And I have one here, so I'm just going to display it. And I'm going to click to take you into the settings. A dependency field type sets the stage for us to know the types of dependencies that you're building between records or between tasks that are there. This is required for you to be able to display a Gantt chart inside of SmartSuite, but it's where you connect things. And a dependency field is connected to a due date field. So in this case, I only have one due date in this particular table, so it knows that. But if I had a different due date, I could select that that's there. And we have a few different options that are here as far as how you want to track dependencies. We have a standard mode, which we found that most of our general product managers or project managers want to use, which you just want to set up the dependencies. You want to assume that they're finished to start relationships, and you don't want to change that. Everything would be finished to start. Just very simple, easy way to set up a project. If you're somebody that's much more advanced, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You're a construction company, a manufacturing company, and you need the ability to state if things are start to finish, finish to start, finish to finish, start to start, adding lag time, a lot more complexity. You can throw on advanced mode. So I'm going to show both of those. And then we also have auto scheduling. So it's the ability to actually determine if you want to auto schedule things based on dates that are in, and I'll describe that as we go into the Gantt chart in just a second. So I'm not going to save these settings first, just to show you the concept that's here. So in this particular case, I'm going to drill into a record now where I've added the dependency field, and you'll notice that sorry. Here we go. So here's what the dependency field looks like if you haven't added anything. There's two components to that, every dependency. One is these are things that I'm waiting on. So I could say, I could click and add a record and say, I'm waiting on technical requirements to be done before I could work on this. And you have things that are blocking. So this is where I might be blocking the completion of this particular item that's here. You can add as many predecessors and successors as you want that's here. And what this is doing behind the scenes is letting us know connections of things, and we can auto then begin to build your Gantt chart for you. You can also do that inside of the Gantt chart that's there. In this case, I picked 3 to show you the color combinations, which was one of the major comments that came back. So as you're seeing these basically linked records that you're telling us what the relationship is, green means that the status has been marked as complete inside of that record. So you went inside of a status field, and let's just save this. For those of you that might not know this, in a status field, you have the ability to tell us which of these statuses that you put means complete. You could have one or more that are there. In this case, I just have one. We're saying that Okay, that's complete. So just visually, as soon as you open the record, you just know it's complete. Yellow always means it's in process, and red means it's in process, but it's blocking. So we're drawing your attention to this is something that's important. But if I drill into this record and I change this status to complete as well, you'll notice that we change the color here to green when the blocker moves. Super important to just understand those concepts. One of the interesting things that happened as we started talking with people is that about the feature set is that they wanted the ability to see the dependencies inside of their different views, not just in a Gantt view. So we've added just the base field here where you can see the number of predecessors and successors. I can click on this and open up the record and see the details and add and change these on the fly. But we went one step further as well with the dependency field. We also made it here we go. We made it a nested field as well. So I could add those separate field types that are here. And now these are just linked records, just like you would have just a regular linked record field. But we're also showing you the status of are these complete or in process that's here. What's interesting about this that people ask for is they want to be able to see that in card view. Right? So I could see the same information. I want to be able to click on this and open just the dependency information compared to when I click anywhere else in the record, I open up the full record that's here to make it very easy to make edits to projects on the fly. The more we worked with people, the more that we found that general project managers preferred to stay inside of grid and card view for most of the day-to-day work that they were doing. Power project managers wanted to see the Gantt chart. Some of the general users got a little flustered with all the complexity that's available in a Gantt chart and how to use it. So we try to do two things. So it's just a field type that's available in any view. You can import, export, all of those features relate to that's there. You can use that in context with the due date field that I just showed before with adding the start and end dates, and you can do your entire project plan right here without going into the Gantt that's there. What I showed you first is how this is just the standard mode. So if I go into the field type now and I change this dependency mode to advanced, I update this, some additional options are going to now be displayed. You'll notice that I can pick start or finish to start to finish, how I want to set these up, where I want to build a dependency. I can also set the lag time. So the lag time, for those of you that might not understand this, means that if I say something is start to finish, the next task can't start for 3 days after this task is finished. Or I could keep it at 0, or I could say 0 means it could be whatever you want it to be. Or I could say it could start 3 days before this is done, the next task can actually start. This is pretty important for construction companies, manufacturing companies that use this quite often as they set these. So the only difference between advanced and our standard mode is we're going to give you the ability for you to select these. In standard mode, we're going to select this finish to start as the default for you as you set up your plan. So you can add as much complexity as you want. The second piece is very important as well, is auto scheduling. So auto scheduling, when you go into the Gantt chart, allows you to have a duration field, and it will then say when in this particular case, if I'm using backward scheduling, it will take the end date and the duration that you put in 3, and it will set the start date automatically for you. So every time you adjust the duration or the end date, it will automatically adjust the start date. You don't have to have that turned on, and you can have it work forward instead of backward that's there. And you don't have to have scheduling turned on at all. And I want to show you those options as we go into Gantt chart here. And one thing I just wanted to mention here is that we also have added the ability so that when you see these broken out predecessors and successors, you can see the SF, which is start to finish. So we've added that pill inside of here to make it very easy for you as you're just looking at these to know the type that it is. To add a new Gantt chart is pretty simple. You just, if I'm here, I just click the plus, pull this up, you'll see Gantt chart, and I can add a new Gantt chart. I have one set up for us to look at that's ready. I didn't do everything yet. And the first thing it told me here is, hey, John, while you're playing around, you set a dependency that's circular. So I said, yep, let's just remove that that's there. And the first thing I wanted to show you is when you come into the Gantt chart, and you're looking at the day and you don't see any information, as you hover over, you can click on an icon that's here and it will bring everything into focus for you for the days that are here. And here is what I've set up so far. I'll tell you, there's a couple of different parts to a Gantt chart. There's a grid view and the Gantt itself. I can take the grid view and size this any way that I want. I can size any of the elements that are in here. I have inline edit inside of the grid. I can click on an item to open a record from here to go into the details that's there. If I want to close this, I could click on this side of the icon. I can click to open it back up. If I want to have this full screen, I can open the full screen that's here. What's coming that we didn't finish yet is you'll be able to select each of the individual fields that you want displayed in the grid, separate from the Gantt itself that's there. So it gives you the ability to work in both modes at the same time if you would like. If you want to move something around, it's just as simple as we're just taking the dates and we're moving that. Depends on if you have auto scheduling. If you notice that this actually changed because I'm auto scheduling things and they are linked together, that's there. That was done inside of the dependency field that I just talked about. You could use the new spotlight capabilities that we just talked about, and I could say I want to color code those by phase that's here, which is pretty handy. In this particular case, maybe I just want to look at status. So this is the status that's just showing me using the actual colors that you've selected that are there. You can group elements that are inside of here with all the grouping that we have currently. You can filter items out. I could look at just a team, just a person, just whatever the field is that's here that you want to look at. And I can sort. So all of the capabilities that you currently have in views are available here. You also have the ability to control the row size. We added this compact or small row size based on recent feedback to display more information. We also added the large and extra large for some of the people that wanted to see this a little bigger that's here. The default that we go to is just a medium that's here. You can also share this view. So if you have customers and you want to share this with a customer, I could just turn that share on. It's a read-only view. Just click to show you what it looks like here. So this is the Gantt that they have. Depending on the options that you set, they can click into these pills and actually see the record. So if I go back to the view settings and say, I want the viewers to be able to open the task, but I don't want them to see all of the fields, just the fields I'm displaying. If I open this back up again, and this is the most common one that we think people will use. Now, if they click on one, you'll actually see just the information for the task. So you can limit them from seeing all the other field type data that's there if you would like to. And then we have settings for the Gantt itself. The first one is I can show dependency arrows. So those are based on the successors and predecessors that you've already set. But inside of the Gantt, I could also, oops, I need to do that. I can also hover over something and I can create dependencies. And you see right here, I tried to create a dependency from the finish to the start and it's saying, oh, that's not valid. So we try to let you know right at the beginning, is that a valid relationship? And now we just created the relationship and did the auto schedule for you since you had auto schedule turned on. If you go to settings down here, look at your dependency field. If I turn off the auto scheduling, which is turned off by default when you come in, now I can move anything around in any way that I want. And my project plan is my plan. Nothing is automatically happening for me. So if you're a power user and you want that enforcement, and I tell you what, let me turn it back on to show you an example here. So I'll turn on auto scheduling. We say, are you sure? Because this could change the dates in your schedule. I'm going to say I want backward scheduling. So what backward scheduling means is when I update the duration here, it's going to update the start date automatically for me that's in here. So as soon as I click out of here, it updated that and push things back that's there. Pretty interesting in the way that it can help you make those. So you have the ability back to the settings to turn on and off the arrows that's there. Basically, when you turn off the arrows, it's just like a timeline. And then you turn the arrows on to show the dependencies. You can include or exclude labels. So this is actually showing the title for the task that you have. You can turn those on or off. You can highlight the critical path. So we'll show the critical path with this color around it. Just shows you these are the items that must be completed for this project. You can add project start and end dates. I have a very tight project here just so I could show you how these work, but it just makes it easy as you're looking at things to see those that are here. I could choose to turn on or off column lines that's here. Some people like this really clean look that I'm showing here without the column lines, but if you are actually dragging things, it's nice. Oh, didn't mean to do that. If you're increasing the size here, it's nice to know how far out I want to come. I want to go through the end of that day. And you notice that when I did the drag and drop, we also show you the days across the top. So you see that end date is changing, so you could very quickly understand that. We also give you a today line that's here, just to know where you're at in the project for today. What is coming that we weren't able to get out just right now that we're fine tuning a little bit is the ability to hide weekends, and then for us to use that information in duration counts. So you can basically skip weekends and just say, I need this duration to be 12 business days. And you're telling us what business days are. We're also going to have the ability for you to enter holidays. So you'll either be able to pull the holiday schedule that is in the that you can set up in the back office portion of SmartSuite today, or you can enter your own holidays, or you can do both. That's there. So we have customers that have teams that are across multiple continents, different time zones, different holidays. So it allows you Gantt by Gantt to put the holidays that are in here. We also, it's not here, but it's coming very soon, is the ability to export to PDF and to, I think it's a PNG version that's here. And we also have capabilities to export this data into a Microsoft project plan. And we're playing with and evaluating if that is needed by the team or not. That's it. And that is pretty quick, a lot of information. We're going to have lots of videos on this. We have lots of partners that are creating videos on this. There's a lot to learn on Gantt chart if you're new to scheduling things, but it is super, super powerful with all the features that are here. And there are a number of small little things that we're finding here and there as our power users are using it that we're adding to make things even better for you. And just little things like when the display of those timelines are outside, being able to hover over here and bring those back into display, just little tricks like that we're finding to make it easier for you to get to the data. Obviously, you can, I didn't mention, you can click on any of the pills and we'll take you right into the record. We're smart enough to take you to the dependency field, thinking that you may want to change that as you're clicking into that. All right, now we've got just a couple of what's new things that we're pretty excited about that we want to share. Didn't make it today, but we're within like a couple of weeks of releasing this to everyone. The first one is a new automation action for merged records. And I've got this pulled up here to show the example. So what I'm showing here is that when a record is created, I want to check and see, is there a duplicate? And if there is a duplicate record or records based on the criteria that I enter, then I want to merge those two records together. And in this particular case, it's saying, okay, you're in the user stories table, and I could come in here and say, what's most common that people ask for was the address field, the email field, and the phone field. So I could come in and say, hey, if there's another record that has this same email, then I want to merge those. But you can get a lot more sophisticated than that. You could come in and say, if it has the same email and the same address, but in the address, you could pick the entire address or the individual items that are here, or I could pick the phone number that's here. So I could say, hey, if the email and the phone is the same, all right, I want this to be merged. And then you have the ability to actually set an operator. So you could say that both of these have to happen, or I could put an or and say if the email or the phone matches, because if you might not have it in both records, then this is what I want you to do. Then below in the merge actions, this is a listing of all the fields that are in that table. And you can tell us how you want to treat each one of these fields when there's a merge. So you could say, hey, I want to replace the value in the existing record. And the way a merge works is we look at the oldest record and we merge the newest information into the oldest record. So you could say, I want to replace it, I want to append it, or I just want to ignore it. That's here. Each field has its own options for you to set. Obviously, you can't append single select values that are there. You can just replace or ignore, but we give you the ability to set this, but we set the defaults by field type that we think are most common, just based on all the feedback that we've got. And now what happens every time a record is saved is it will look and see, is there a duplicate? If there is, they'll just go ahead and merge that. You don't have to do anything else. It's just a great way to keep your data clean. The biggest use case that we have here are people with CRMs, with accounts and contacts, and companies with products and product listings that are there. We also have a fun feature here that I just wanted to show. We have the ability now to add descriptions, or we haven't released this yet. This will probably come out later next week. We now have the ability to add descriptions to views. So you can go into a view. Not only can you add a description, you have two different ways that you can say that you want to display it. So you can say, hey, I want to display it as a tooltip. And when they hover over this tooltip, we present the description back to the user, some more information about it, or you can display it inline. And this is the request that people have asked for. So now you can add descriptions directly inside of your views. If you have, this is going to be used in concert with the visibility component that I talked about earlier, where you can go into each view type and say, these are the people that can see it. And for more general users that are only using 3 or 4 different views each day, maybe accounts payable, people looking at open invoices, they will just need to see just the views that they need access to and not everything. And you can add descriptions to make it very clear what needs to be done. All right. And I'm just going to flip through a couple more fun ones just so you know what's coming and you can plan on your side as well. We have cover images that you'll be able to add to records. So if you have an image field that's inside of a record, let's say that in this case, it's a property and you want to display that image at the top of the record kind of as a cover image in the same way that you can do a card or Kanban. You can do that. When you hover over this and click, it will open the image gallery, or you could add images directly from here or inside of the image field that you have inside of the record. Biggest use cases here are for company logos, images of people, images of products, properties like we're showing here, but it just makes things more visual when you first pull up a record that's there. This is a big one that's underway right now, which is any dashboard in SmartSuite could be able to share that publicly in a read-only state in the same way that you share grid, card, Kanban, Gantt that I just showed you today. The export to PDF is actually done and in testing. We had a little hiccup this morning before I went to show it, but it allows you now to export a dashboard in a PDF format to take into a meeting, whatever your need might be for that. For some of our power users, we're adding the ability to move into edit and view mode when you set dashboards up, which when you move it into view mode, it just removes all of the noise that happens with drag and drop and things behind the scenes. So you can just focus on the dashboard at that point. Then if you want to edit, you just click edit mode and you drag and drop and move things around that are there. So it's more of just a display element that's there. And then our comparison and metric widgets, this is almost ready to be able to click into any one of these and actually see all the supporting data that make up the number that you see in here, just like you do everywhere else across SmartSuite. And then a big one that we've been working on and playing with and trying lots of different options is the best way to do the solution grouping on the homepage for people that have, in some cases, hundreds of different workflow solutions that you have here. We're really honing in on what we think is the best one, and we hope to have some things rolled out here at the end of January. All right, Avi, I feel like I've been talking for an hour with no feedback, but that's a lot of information. I hope everything makes sense to everybody.
Yes, quite a lot of information, and the excitement is real. I wish you could have seen the chat. I'm going to try to send you some screenshots afterwards, but the excitement is really real. I'll just read you a few comments over here. Incredible, Jon. Huge kudos to you and the team. Thanks, Jon. We love it. Gonna have to rework my whole SmartSuite. Awesome. Love the enhancements. Great job. Just incredible excitement. And so without further ado, I'd love to get to the questions. We have quite a lot of questions that piled up. And before I start going through the questions, I just want to mention one more time that if you have questions or comments or feedback on what we just showed, please drop them in the Q&A section as opposed to putting them in the chat so we can make sure we get to all of them. And I'll just start from the top. I think we'll probably follow the kind of all the different things that we showed in the webinar in this order, because that's the order of questions that came in. So we have a question from Mark that came in. Been waiting on reports, document designer, any progress there?
Yeah, so there's a number of updates that have already been made to document designer. The biggest one that will be coming out hopefully in January, we're probably 3 weeks away, is the ability to add headers and footers that are in there, and the use of some of the field types, just a little different configuration for you. But I think you said Mark is asking this. Mark, if you could reach out to our support team and let us know the specific use case you have, we'll make sure that's covered and we'll reach back out and let you know the status of that.
Awesome. And moving on, Adam has a question. Is there any plan to update Spotlight to allow it to highlight one field based on the value of another field? This one change would really expand what we can do with the feature, bringing it up to par with conditional formatting in Google Sheets and allowing us to illuminate a kind of input validation, more brighter colors would be really great too.
That's not something that I think anybody has asked for prior. So I need to go do a little research on that. And Brian on our team, can you just make note of this? Let's make sure we get a feature request in, and then we'll get that on my plate for later this week just to research that.
Okay, and once you're looking at that, I'll just mention I also got a request recently to manually color, not based on conditions, but just to be able to manually go in and color specific fields or columns with the Spotlight feature.
Okay.
Moving on, we have a question from an anonymous attendee. What will be the impact of the currently built solutions when it comes to these new view folders? Do we see the changes automatically? And if so, when can we see it?
Yeah, so everything is live right now for you. Folders is available for people on Pro and Enterprise plans. I failed to mention that at the beginning. I should have. So if you're on our free or team, you won't see the folder option that's there, but if you're on Pro and Enterprise, you will. And then all you need to do is you can go in and create folders, and we still have the ability for you to include, like I can move things outside of folders like I just did here. Like you can today, you can have a mix of folders and things outside of folders, and we've allowed you to keep that same functionality. I like personally to have everything clean inside of the folders, but we'll leave that up to you.
Okay, amazing. And as for the sidebar, that will automatically be applied to pre-built solutions. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's user by user. So whatever the user setting is. So when new users log in right now, what they're going to see is what I'm showing here right now is this will just be pinned open and they can close it. And when you hover over the top, it pins it open and close. And when you hover over this bottom portion, it opens the entire one for you to make a selection that's here. And again, we'll be doing some training and some notifications starting tomorrow as people log in to tell them more about how this works.
Amazing. And William is asking, this isn't about a new feature, but we are starting to build and wondering, is time tracking not available for subtasks?
Time tracking, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, if time tracking is not available for subtasks. Or I guess that can be worked in.
It's not currently, but I need to check the date on this, but we are converting subtasks to be architecturally behind the scenes, just a linked record. It's just displayed different. And that will allow you to have time tracking. It will allow you to have any field type that we have available as a sub item.
Awesome. And Christopher is asking, is there a way to set view permissions on a folder of views and have it applied to the entire views, to all the views in the folder?
Yeah, so that is coming. So I mentioned just the views themselves. What is going to happen first is actually what Christopher is asking for, which is you'll be able to set the permission at the folder level, and it will work just like setting conditional logic inside of a form. So if you set it at the folder level, anything in that folder is going to get that permission. And that's what, even if you change the permission of something inside to say somebody else should have it, so if it's in that folder, only those people can see it.
Awesome. And Maxime is asking, is there a plan or ETA on outgoing webhooks as automation actions? And same for N8N integration.
Yeah, so the webhooks is a priority for us on the dev team. The merge piece for our automations team is getting completed first this week. And then we'll finish up the conditional logic for automations, and then we move right to webhooks. So it's in this quarter that we will have that as a trigger type for all automations. It is available, and webhooks are available through our API right now, so you can use that, but we're making them available through automations as well.
Awesome. And Marit is asking, does the nested logic only work with due dates or with date range also?
That's a great question that we ask ourselves as soon as we started playing with this. So the reality is we're gonna move our date range field type to be nested and probably a few others. And what you're gonna see is right now I just showed you field to display so you can show things in grid, but we'll work this so that you can use them in group bys and filters as well.
Awesome. And then we have two questions, which I think I'm going to group together. So Keith is asking, can the whiteboards be shared in, say, a meeting or independent of the app? And Andrian is asking, is there a way to share it and annotate it for webinars, etc.? I think they're both the same question.
So you can use the share grid feature that has a single element inside of it, or share card that has that. And when they click on it, it will show that record and we'll have that in that's there. I need to check on the multiple people annotations at the same time. I'm not sure if Avi or Brian, if you could just note who's asking that and we can find that out today and get back to them.
Eric is asking, is the date/time field also in the queue for automation logic and/or as a nested field? Example, can I manipulate the different subfields within the full name field in an automation, but not the time subfield within the date field?
I need to talk with Dev before I answer that. I think the answer is yes, but I'm not 100%. So we've been working to decouple dates and times to allow you to not see time when you don't want to see it inside of menus that you want to select. But then we have people with projects, even with Gantt charts, where they need to schedule things based on hour increments or 3-hour increments that we're trying to support. So I think the answer to that is yes, but I just need to verify it.
Awesome. And we have another question here. Is the indirect function in the works, thinking of in the context of dependent drop-down lists, i.e. single select for formulas?
I think what you're asking for is the values in one drop-down list, like to be based on like state, and then when you pick that state, you only show a list in another drop-down that shows the cities that are associated with that state. So we do have multiple requests for that. It's not on the immediate roadmap that's there, but we'll definitely look at that for sure.
Awesome. And we have another question from Ingo over here. How many sub-items can a table handle, and how many fields are allowed in one sub-item?
I need to get the exact numbers. I don't know that there's a limit on the fields that you could put in a sub-item that's there, but I will. Let's just track who asked that question, and I'll get those from the product team today.
Awesome.
There's either no limits or they're really high. We don't try to put limits on the number of things you can add in a sub-item.
Okay, and Andrew Wolf is asking, these are, I think, starting to be Gantt charts and dependency questions. So Andrew Wolf is asking, is it possible to create task templates to be applied to new projects where dependencies and lags are present?
Yeah, we're working on that with a few people right now to try to figure out how you could apply a baseline, is what people have been calling that, to a project that's there. We have the capabilities built into the back end of the Gantt chart. And we just have to figure out how to allow you to now set a baseline that we know about that's there. But the answer is yes, that will be coming.
Awesome. And our next question is from Barry Ross. Gantt charts look great, lots of features. When will video training and webinar be available to get us up to speed?
Yeah, so you're going to see starting this week, a number of our partners are going to start producing video content on how to use Gantt charts for specific use cases. And then we're going to have specific training that we provide that we'll be announcing by Friday. And there'll be multiple sessions that you can attend, but all of the training is also being recorded. So you'll be able to watch it at your own pace. We're also updating the SmartSuite Academy training to include Gantt chart. So you can go at your own pace through the training there.
Awesome. And for those of you who are not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, I highly recommend you do that, because that is where all these awesome content goes, whether it's pre-recorded webinars, whether it's videos, it all gets updated over there. Feel free to join our YouTube channel. Our next question is from an anonymous attendee. Can we export the Gantt chart to another project management tool and vice versa?
So the capability is there in the Gantt that we've built to export to Microsoft Project. And we're trying to determine now if that's a feature we need to turn on or not. But more than likely, we'll make it available. We just want to make sure that before we spend the time to finish that people actually need that. It's a real capability. We also have the capability to import back in. It's a little more complicated on that, especially if you have existing content. The capability is easy to do, getting all the information that we need to know how to add records, update particular field, just where it's complex on the UI side.
Okay, I'll just throw in a comment I saw earlier. I forget who wrote this in, but this may be something to consider. They wrote, if you have this, you don't need Microsoft Project Management. So I don't know if we need that.
That's the hope, is that we support the features that you need here where you don't need to worry about another project management tool.
Awesome. And our next question is from Barry Ross. Can Gantt charts be added to dashboards?
As of today, no, but in about 2 weeks, yes. So we built the ability to share them was the first step, which you can do now. And now we're adding the ability that you just pick it as a type and put it inside a dashboard.
Awesome. And the questions don't seem to stop coming in. So we're going to do our best. We're going to stay a little over time. John, you let me know if you have a hard stop, but it looks like we've got at least another 30 questions, which keep piling up. And so I guess I'll continue asking. For those of you who are able to stay on, awesome. For those of you who have to leave, we'll add the recording to YouTube as mentioned, so you can catch all these additional questions later. John, I'll continue going until you tell me you have a hard stop.
Sounds good.
Derek is asking, can you track against the baseline with Gantt, i.e. we all know things change during a project and would like to be able to report on actual versus planned?
Yeah, so we have the ability to add field types that allow us to track the actual versus plan inside of SmartSuite. We're trying to figure out how to apply that how to apply a baseline to an existing project to tell you that inside of the Gantt chart. If you are using a product or know of a product that does a good job of that, please share that with us, because we're very interested. The capability is already built. Now just have to figure out how do we share the information back to you in a way that makes sense.
Awesome. And our next question is from Adam. Is there a plan to let automation copy a checklist?
We already do copy a checklist in automations. Yeah.
So Adam, if you take a look in automations, if you select the checklist field type, you should be able to build out checklists. Unless your question is, can you, I guess, replicate a check? You should be able to build that in automation. So reach out to us if we misunderstood the question. Yeah,
just reach out to our team, the bottom right-hand corner of the product down here, and ask that question, and we'll either create a quick loom and we'll show you how to do that.
Awesome. And our next question is from Mirit. Can we move records from one table to another table in a different solution?
Not currently. That's there. We are looking at the ability to do that inside of the dot menu that's in a record. I'll just pull it up and show you an example. So adding that here as an option. What you have to do, though, is we'll have to show you all of the fields in this record and then all of the fields in the table that you want to merge to. And you'll have to tell us how you want that data to go over. Once you do it, we'll remember that table by table. But for people that have 500 and 600 fields, the first time it's going to take a bit to do that. Now you can automatically do that with an automation that we have in place already. And that automation can be triggered based on a drop down like this saying merge or move, and then it will perform whatever action that you set.
Awesome. And Elisa is asking, can we do a do not create the new record if there's a dupe? My automations between SiteStacker, Salesforce, and SmartSuite sometimes cause duplicate to be created in SmartSuite. Need a way for SmartSuite to recognize the dupe and ask or notify before adding the record so I can approve or deny.
So we have the ability to set field types, field values as must be unique, and we're adding that capability to the email field and the phone fields, which I think covers the use cases that we uncovered as we did the merge piece. So that stops them right then and tells them there's another value, another record that has that email address that's in there. The backside of that is we'll automatically do that for them when they enter it, and no one will know. It will just happen for them automatically. And then there is a third portion, a piece to that I should have mentioned, that we will offer a global dedupe option that will be in our dashboards as an extension that allows you to go through a process in a table and set the triggers, and then we'll tell you all the matches that we find, and you tell us how to handle those one by one. And that's meant more for people that have a lot of messy data at the beginning and they just need to get things cleaned up right now, versus the automated merge that happens on record save.
Awesome. And Chris is asking, any news on a manager's ability to do time reporting of the time tracker by team member, by date, or by date range across all projects?
Yes. So now that we're coming out of the phase with dependency and Gantt, there's two big things that are happening right after this. The first is resource management, resource planning. So now that we have the foundation for that, we'll be able to track utilization by person, tell you if they're over, underutilized, and make it very easy in Gantt charts to see that. And then the next piece is time reporting, that we can pull the time for all of that information, and we'll show that back in the member directory. So if I'm still sharing, you can be able to click into a user. Right here, you'll see their timesheet. If you have the ability to see it, they can see their timesheet as well, and you'll be able to go back or forward in time, and we'll auto pull all of the auto track time, but you can also enter manual time there as well. So that's the next larger feature that we're working on, is resource management and time tracking.
Awesome. And TC Optima is asking, where can I find the list of the new formulas? I'd like to update my formula solution template.
Yep, those are going out today. So we'll
awesome.
have all the help, the What's New newsletter goes out tomorrow, and all of the help documentation and things are being updated, and we're also going to announce in the community today the new functions.
Awesome. Tom is asking, will Gantt work across tables and solutions?
It pulls data from linked records and lookup fields that you have in place, but you can't pick user stories and bugs and put them all in one place yet. But no, that is coming.
Sounds good. And Lyndon is asking, what file formats work for the Whiteboard library?
For inserting images, is that what we're asking?
Yeah, I'm assuming. Yep.
I tell you what, I'm not 100% sure on that, but if you could just make note of who's asking that question, we'll get an answer from the developer and Peter today.
Awesome. And Caitlin is asking, any motion on expanding the capabilities of sub-item fields? For example, adding a formula field, being able to automatically add a set of them based on other conditions in the record, displaying them in a calendar, timeline views, etc.
Sounds like there's two questions there. The first one I answered before on the sub-items is it's going to be treated as just a linked record with a different display type. So all of the functionality that you have for any link to any other table is going to be available for a sub-item. And then I think the second part of the question was using formulas to create dates and then have those dates be able to be displayed in calendars and Gantt chart and things. And that is on the roadmap. We haven't started yet, but that came up as an item inside of Gantt charts that we want to solve, which is very common.
Got it. And just an update to the previous question on file types for whiteboards. The question is also field types. For which field types are supported within whiteboards?
Which field type? Okay. Well, I'll need to get that list with Pete on that.
Okay. Amazing. And Brad is asking, did I miss this? Any new keyboard shortcuts added?
There have been a few. There's a keyboard shortcuts. You can, click right here. So you see the undo and the redo. Here are the shortcuts that we currently have available for grid view record modal. And there's probably another 10 or 12 that have been requested, going to next records, auto opening menus, and doing things that will be coming out probably, if not late January, early February, that's there. But this is where you can come and always see a list of the shortcuts. It's just click on your profile, explore SmartSuite, click on keyboard shortcuts here.
Amazing. And Luna is asking, can we please have a larger image area for form headers? And if possible, the ability to recolor the form for branding.
I think we have some designs for the branding that we can share with you and get your feedback on that's already there. The designs are done. We haven't implemented. I need to check on if you can resize the image area at the top or not. Brian, can you just make note of those for us so we can follow up?
Yeah. And Jeffrey is asking, any way to auto highlight non-editable fields such as lookups and formulas?
The auto color is what he's saying?
Yeah, auto highlight non-editable fields such as lookups and formulas.
No, but please share your use case with us on how you would want to use that. We'll take that into account. That's the first time I've heard something like that.
Awesome. And Michael is asking, is it possible to filter the items when selecting a dependency to show only items from the same phase, etc.?
Yes, all of our filter capabilities that you see here with all of our views are also applicable for Gantt chart.
Awesome. And Paul is asking, the address field now fully parsed, that can I sort, filter, group addresses based on individual elements of the first line, aka street line? Example, can every address on the N main street be grouped separately from everything on the S main street?
We are adding the ability with the nested fields to work in filters and groups. The way it would work, though, is you'd have to pick city, state, address, country, zip, and we could group on those elements. I tell you, that's another good one. If you can share the use case of what you would want just with our support team, they can get that over to me and I can validate if we can do that or not.
Sounds good. And we have a question from an anonymous attendee. Is there any possibility of dashboards being visible in the mobile version?
Yes. We haven't got to that yet on mobile, but yes, that is on the roadmap for sure.
Awesome. And Tom is asking, will there be a grid view option for dependencies? I think we showed that.
Yes, you can show the dependency field shows just like I'm showing here. So you can show those as individual elements.
Amazing. And Barry Ross is asking, Dedo projects, can you use the new merge feature to QA your existing database to merge dupe records?
What you would need to do is create a field and then do something simple, drag this value down that's going to create a record save for those. And then it would happen for all the records in your database. Now, in the future, what's coming is a dedupe capability that's meant for just that, which is the first time where you have a bunch of stuff that you just need to get cleaned up. And then you could use the record merge on save after that.
Amazing. And Rick is asking, is there a timeline for Google/Microsoft Calendar integration to view SmartSuite dates/calendars inside Google Workspace or Office 365/Outlook?
I need to check. I'm hesitant to give a date on where we're at on that. It is on the roadmap. Part of that is done. I need to check. Maybe Pete is our CTO who's on here. Pete, if you could just make note of that so we could get back with the time frame on that.
Awesome. And Thomas is asking, as a power user, Gantt charts are awesome. However, we receive emails within SmartSuite. We currently email out, but cannot get any notification or alerts if a client responds.
So you have the ability in the communication center to configure this to enable email. And each time that you then initiate an email, so I could come in here and say, I want to have a conversation with the customer and say, put in their email address. You can pull data from inside of this field automatically, attach files. But now, anytime that somebody replies back to this email, you'll see all the correspondence here in Communication Center in that particular record that's there. We don't yet have the ability to pull data out of your email directly in. There's a few products that we're working with that will be doing some webinars over the next probably 4 to 6 weeks that do some of what you're talking about with a native integration into SmartSuite that's there.
Just
Amazing.
to clarify on his question a little bit, he was asking about getting a notification or alert when a new email comes in through this.
Oh, getting a notification in SmartSuite?
Yeah.
Got you. I'm sorry. Haven't thought of that. That's Brian, can you just get that noted? That's very easy to do. Yes, we'll make that happen.
Amazing. Look at that. Thank you, Brian. Our next question is, in prior webinar, there was a mention of conditional visibility of custom fields within a task. Is this still in the works?
Yes, I think what you're talking about is the ability to come into a record that's here in the same way that you come into a form, and you have the ability to set logic, and logic can be set at the section or the field level to tell us when certain information, when certain fields are going to be displayed here. Yes, that's more than likely going to be towards the end of the first quarter when all of that will be available. But yes, that is coming.
Amazing. And we have a question from an anonymous attendee. Can you explain a little more about how dependencies and recurrences work together? How will dependency carry through from action to action that reoccurs?
Yeah, so if I go into a due date field, I can turn on a repeating task, and I can set when I want this task to actually repeat. So I can say daily, weekly, monthly, after some period of time, after completion, whatever that might be. And what happens is when this executes, we auto create a record in SmartSuite, or we change the dates on a record, and it shows back up inside of here as a new record, but it also shows inside of your Gantt chart. So all of this is completely connected together.
Amazing. And we have a question from an anonymous attendee. Hi, thank you for this amazing webinar. I'm wondering when the emailing from using my email address for the comment section in SmartSuite.
We are trying to figure that out. I wish it was easier technically to do that. The other products make it somewhat difficult for us. There's some third-party products that we can use, but they're pricey for us to have this capability, that we're trying to get around that, where we have the core capability built in that's there. So I will have a better update in probably 3 weeks on the approach that we'll be taking to that, but we know how important that is for you to be able to go into a record, not just send an email from SmartSuite inside of this communication center that I was showing you, but attach your own personal email right here, and this is always in sync.
Okay, amazing. And I'm not sure I understand this question. Let's see, I was needing HTML fields to be able to pick up data from report emails. Is this something coming up?
It sounds like you want to have a parser that allows you to receive an email and then parse that data and bring that into SmartSuite that's there. We have quite a number of options that allow you to do that through Zapier, Make, Bardeen, Relay, all have that core capability. And if you can either join one of our office hours one morning or send a note to support, we're happy to show you how to set that up.
Awesome. Colleen is asking, will there be an update to add video files directly within record, or add an integration to do so like it's done similar to video ask or story prompt? Not sure.
So I tell you what, just make note of that, and let's get a little more information today, because you can already add video files and you can add attachments that auto link. I just need to know your use case to be able to tell you the best way to achieve that.
Okay, amazing. And Lyndon is asking, is SmartSuite working on increasing total records available in a table? For example, in my use case, I have my e-commerce writing to SmartSuite where every line item is its own record. I want to ensure that there will be sustainable long-term million-plus records.
We are on that, and we're trying to, I think I've talked about this in one of the last webinars. We're trying to find ways that make it easy for you to have very large record sets, but also get to just the data that you need right then as fast as possible, knowing that we have customers that have hundreds and hundreds of fields. They have a lot of data that they're trying to bring back to the browser, and we can be as efficient as possible to get it there, but it's still going to be up to the browser if you want to display all that data that's there. So we're doing lots of little tricks to make things a lot more efficient on how we display the initial data, but we will get there. We're not there today for 1 million records.
Amazing. Tom is asking, will we be able to apply automations to the broken out nested dates separately?
Yes, you will.
Okay, easy enough. Ford is asking, are there plans to launch pivot table view?
There is. It won't be a view. It will be you'll be able to use it inside of a dashboard. You make it look like a view, but you'll be able to pick 2 single or multiple select fields to actually create the pivot table.
Okay. Gary is saying it would be interesting to tap a real-time Google Map travel time into a dependency.
Interesting. I'm not sure how we would do that, but let's just make note of that.
Okay. Gary, if you want to reach out and share your use case. Andrew Wolf is asking, what is the status of hiding fields in section and record detail? This was discussed as coming in previous webinar. I think we addressed this previously as well.
There's two pieces to that. So there's the conditional logic that we just talked about. The other piece that is much easier is the ability you'll be able to go into page settings. There'll be a new tab that's here, and you'll be able to have fields that you have set up in the table that you don't want to be displayed inside of a record. That one will be out probably in 4, maybe 5 weeks. That's there. After that will come the conditional logic piece that we talked about.
Amazing. And Jake is asking, could there be an integrated QR code generator field for a record?
Yeah, this is a request that's actually out in the feature requests library currently, especially for a lot of our manufacturing companies that have products and labels that they need to print. And we're looking at 2 options there. The first one is the ability to enter QR codes that you already have. And the second one is to auto-generate codes when needed that are there. That is coming, but it's not on this first quarter roadmap. That will be a Q2 item.
Sounds good. Caddy is asking, can we link the same field to several tables like Monday has?
You can set up as many linked records as you want inside of SmartSuite, just as field types, and link those. So that piece, yes. We are actually working on a concept of a new field type that's a linked record that in the same field will allow you to have links to multiple other tables that's there. It gets a little complicated. It will look very similar. I'll click into here. It'll look very similar to this, in that you'll have a field name, and then we'll show a listing of items, and we will have a title for each of the tables so you can understand where that record is coming from.
Amazing. Our next question is, what is the timeline for resource planning for teams to enable tracking for individual efforts across solution, including formula analysis on time tracking log, accessing the member/data/note fields, i.e. allowing analysis of time spent on tasks by users on a given month, leveraging time tracking log?
All right. I don't know who asked that question, but make sure we note their name and we get them in the review sessions that are happening on resource planning right now. A lot of the back-end work was done as part of Gantt charts to allow us to actually display information. Now we're working on just how everything comes together that's there. And we have a working group that shared a lot of great information already. And we'd love to add you to that if you feel like you have expertise in resource planning.
Awesome. So the meeting, I'm actually responsible for putting together those calls. If you want to reach out via support and ask for my email, and just send me an email, I'll make sure to include you on the next call. Andrew Scott is asking, I don't know if this is a question we should address here on the webinar, but we'll give it a shot. Maybe other customers want to chime in on this question. But Andrew Scott is asking, I'm trying to decide between ClickUp and SmartSuite for my construction management company. What would you say are the biggest benefits of using SmartSuite versus ClickUp?
Yeah, I think
feel free to pass on it, John.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great question for someone that's evaluating that. I won't waste everybody's time, but we have a pretty good understanding of the differences that we have with ClickUp. It really comes down to linked records, being able to link across tables, to create formulas that go across tables. It has more to do with the process side. ClickUp is really good on the project management and does a little process. And we're going to be a lot heavier on the process side, just the flexibility that you have in the number of fields and how you can set things up. But our onboarding team is happy to actually do working sessions with you for 30 minutes to an hour at a time and actually build things out in SmartSuite that's comparable to how you might be looking at things in another product. So you can do that comparison yourself one-to-one.
Awesome. And our next question over here. So I think Adam is clarifying one of the earlier questions in regards to copying a checklist. I meant, is there a plan to let an automation copy a checklist from a table rather than having to specify all the checklist items inside the automation? I think this kind of ties into the kind of like that template concept of building out templates and applying it with an automation.
Yeah. So we're looking at just what Avi said. We're looking at the ability to create a template that is a series of checklist items, and then you be able to say when to use that particular template that's there.
Okay, amazing. And Sarah is asking for the undo feature. Can that be done in SmartDoc field? Use case while working in the whiteboard, I accidentally dragged and dropped an image and the entire whiteboard disappeared. And remaining in the SmartDoc is there only for the mentioned drag and drop image. Can you use undo redo within specific fields?
Yeah, you
specifically
can.
with yeah.
It does not. We have not implemented that feature set inside of SmartDoc yet.
Okay. And then we have another question on how deep is the undo redo? Like how many steps back will it go?
I think that number is 15, but
Okay.
it will be in the help article documentation. And if you'll just note who asked that question, we'll get back to you directly on that as well.
Sounds good. Richard is asking, is there still plans for forms to be able to update existing records?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. And obviously currently you can do that with fill out.
Correct. Yeah, we have partners that make that available currently. We're adding that as a native capability there's two pieces to that. The first is to pull data from an existing record into a form that then gets sent to somebody. And then the second one is to collect information that then updates back into that record. That's specific.
Amazing. Okay, I'm starting to see the bottom of the list of these questions. I think we've got about 11 left. So let's see. Sarah is asking, is saved whiteboard saved anywhere if it is accidentally removed from a SmartDoc?
It's probably saved behind the scenes, but I don't know that you can get to it. I'll check with our dev team on that specific question.
Okay. And Andrew Wolf is asking, is there any chance we can include email signatures with logos in our email templates? I guess let me just add, because I see the next question is the same question. So Luna Luke is asking, talking of emails, will there be an opportunity to add HTML to create a signature block? Number two, will we be able to add custom domains for sending emails? I think we've discussed this a little bit, but I guess we can readdress both these questions.
Yeah, so the custom domain piece, yes, that's the part that we're trying to technically figure out the best way to do that. I think that we already have the designs complete for the signature blocks for the email templates. We just haven't implemented that yet. I'll check on that as well today.
Amazing. And here's another question from Andrew. Actually this is from Lyndon. Is it in the roadmap to push emails from automations into Communication Center? I'm not sure I understand the question.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
We've had two requests there to push comments in and to push emails in, and having the ability through our API or through automations to be able to automatically do that.
Amazing. And Andrew Rolfe is asking, continuing on emails, it would be nice to have the ability to enter data tables. Any chance that is on the roadmap?
To enter data tables. I tell you what, let's reach back out directly. I'm not sure I understand the question. Okay.
Sounds good. And Matt is asking, is there any plan to add reminders to SmartSuite? I think the question is other tools have standalone reminders. They're not in, I guess that the My Work section tasks is probably the equivalent of that.
I tell you what, if you can just share a little bit about the use case, or if you're using a product that provides something that you like, just let us know. We'll look into that. I don't think we have any requests in that regard that's in our product roadmap feature requests to date.
Awesome. And Pete is asking ETA to copy solutions along with their respective automations. Create dev stage prod instances.
Yep. Yeah. Currently, for those people that don't understand, you can copy a SmartSuite solution and you can share that with somebody. I can duplicate this solution, or I can share this solution. The duplicate piece is being updated to include automations. It's a little complicated because you can have automations that can pull from other tables outside of this solution. And we're just going to have rules that are going to say, we stay within the bounds of what we can do in this particular solution with the automation. Then we'll turn the automations off by default and leave it up to you to turn them on. The problem with that is if you copy, turn those on, you could be sending duplicate notifications across the the two different solutions.
Got it. Okay. Anonymous attendee, given all the other views are available to all account levels and the principles of SmartSuite, to avoid hiding features behind paywalls. And two last questions. First question is, does e-signature comply with 21 CFR Part 11? I guess that's some sort of regulation.
That's going to be a question for Pete. I'm assuming you're talking about our signature field type is what you're asking about. And can it be treated as a legal document based on that requirement? So I don't know the answer, but we'll find out for you.
Sounds good. And a few more questions popped in here. Let's see if we can get to any of the other one. Pete is following up and asking in terms of being able to do copy automations when you're copying a solution. What's the timeline?
I tell you what, let me talk with the team in the morning and I'll get back to you on that. I don't think we're very far away, meaning weeks, but I don't know an exact date. Okay,
sounds good. And here's another question. Feel free to pass on it. But an anonymous attendee is asking, does SmartSuite compete with Archer, ServiceNow, and OneTrust? What is John's opinion?
We're focused on any business process in an organization, right? And so we go across any process that's there. One of those processes inside of organizations relates to risk and compliance, which are those products that you just mentioned that are there. We are not a GRC point solution or governance, risk, and compliance point solution. We are a business process, work management platform that can support any process. So we do have templates that go across risk and compliance categories, but the value that we provide back is when you connect those workflows into your core workflows, whether it be sales, marketing, HR, product, whatever that might be.
Awesome. Okay, I think we're at the end of our questions, and phenomenal to see we're over 30 minutes overtime, and we've got almost 100 people who stayed overtime for 30 minutes. So I think that's a true testament to the phenomenal SmartSuite community that's being built here every day. And thank you for all of you who's joined. John, any closing thoughts or updates?
Yeah, appreciate everybody's time. Keep the feature requests coming in. We'll keep jumping on them as fast as we can. For those of you that don't know, you can click on this right panel that's here, open this up, and actually search down and add your own feature requests. Here, it will take you to our roadmap, and you can vote on feature requests from other people that they've added, see the status of things that are there. I would also recommend that please, we have monthly training that's available now for free with a free certification. So make sure those dates. It takes about 4 to 6 hours of training to get up to speed on SmartSuite if you go through that live, and then we'll let you take our certification course for free if you go through that training that's there. And then we do the daily office hours that are available. And the last thing I'll say is please follow us on LinkedIn. We have a lot of great information coming out with new features and things on the roadmap, and that's a great way to stay up to date. But appreciate your time. Happy New Year to everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.